Anna Devane was already on her knees when Felicia Scorpio appeared in the doorway, the stone floor biting through her clothes as if it wanted to pull her down forever. Her voice broke before the words even fully formed. She begged Felicia not with dignity or restraint, but with raw desperation. Hands trembling, eyes burning with tears, she had no strength left to hide. Felicia was crying too, her face pale and stricken, her eyes full of horror at the sight of Anna, imprisoned like an animal. The air between them felt charged, fragile, as if one wrong breath would shatter the moment into something far darker. Somewhere beyond the walls, electricity hummed back to life, lights flickering on in the corridor, and Anna's heart slammed with fear because hope had a way of making pain sharper when it was taken away. This was not how Anna had imagined her life, narrowing down to a single room in a castle owned by enemies who watched her every move. The cold stone walls seemed to lean inward, heavy with centuries of secrets and cruelty. Cullum's men had made sure she understood that escape was not an option. Sidwell's presence lingered everywhere, in the cameras mounted like unblinking eyes, in the guards pacing with mechanical precision, in the sense that the building itself belonged to him and would betray her if she tried to fight back. Anna had survived countless dangers in her life, betrayals and wars fought in the shadows, but this felt different. This felt personal, calculated, designed to strip her down piece by piece. At first, she had tried to stay sharp, to catalog every sound, every shift of light under the door, every footstep in the hall. She told herself that intelligence officers did not break, that discipline would keep her anchored, but time blurred in captivity. Hunger and exhaustion weakened her resolve. And then the visions started. Peter had appeared first, his familiar smirk curling in the dim light as if death had never claimed him. Faison followed, larger than life, his voice echoing with that mocking confidence that had haunted her nightmares for years. Anna knew they were dead. She knew this with the part of her mind that still clung to logic. And yet they stood before her, solid and vivid, forcing her to relive old battles and old guilt. Each hallucination left her more unmoored. She began to doubt her senses, to question whether pain or relief could be trusted. So when Felicia appeared, Anna's heart did not immediately leap with hope. Instead, fear crept in, slow and insidious. Was this another trick of her mind? Another cruel reminder of everything she might never see again? Felicia looked so real, though, the way she held herself, the way her eyes searched Anna's face as if trying to understand the depth of her suffering. Anna reached out, her fingers shaking, almost afraid that Felicia would dissolve into air if touched. Felicia's tears felt like proof. Anna clung to that detail, to the wet shine on her cheeks, the uneven breathing, the whispered apology for being late. Anna begged her to listen, to get her out, to not leave her here alone. She confessed fear without shame because there was no space left for pride. Felicia took her hands, squeezing them tightly, grounding her in the moment. Yet even as hope surged, doubt whispered. Anna had been fooled before. She had seen the dead walk and speak. She could not be sure this was real. The castle itself added to the confusion. Earlier the power had gone out, plunging the halls into darkness after a violent snowstorm battered the area. Or so Anna had been told. Another possibility gnawed at her mind. Someone else could have caused it deliberately. Jocelyn came to mind, reckless and brave. The kind of person who would risk everything to help someone she loved. If the cameras were down, if the guards were blind, then a rescue might actually be possible. The thought ignited a spark inside Anna that refused to die. Felicia was not alone, at least not in the version of events Anna desperately wanted to believe. She spoke in hushed tones about Mac and Emma, about plans made quickly and imperfectly, about slipping in under cover of darkness while Sidwell believed his fortress secure. Felicia admitted she was not strong enough to do this alone. That honesty rang true. This was not a fearless superhero fantasy. It was a messy, dangerous attempt driven by love and loyalty. That detail made it feel real in a way the visions of Peter and Faison never had. Still, the obstacles were enormous. Sidwell's men were trained to expect intrusion. Cullum's influence ensured that Anna was never left unguarded for long. Even with the power out, the castle was a maze of locked doors and narrow passages. Felicia's voice trembled as she described slipping past guards, relying on luck as much as planning. Anna listened, trying to memorize every word, every promise, because if this was real, she needed to hold onto it with everything she had. Then the lights came back on. The sudden brightness was blinding. It snapped through the room like a whip, cutting through the fragile bubble of hope. Anna flinched, her heart pounding. Felicia froze, her face draining of color as footsteps echoed down the hall. This was the moment where everything would be decided. If the cameras were active again, if Sidwell saw them now, there would be consequences. Anna imagined Felicia being dragged away, thrown into a cell just like hers, punished for daring to defy the wrong people. The guilt of that possibility crushed her chest. Felicia squeezed Anna's hands harder, whispering that they would figure it out. But uncertainty hung thick in the air. Anna could not tell if this was the point where reality would reassert itself or where the illusion would crumble. Her mind raced back through every hallucination she had experienced, every time she had been convinced she was not alone, only to be left staring at empty space. The human mind could be a cruel jailer, capable of building hope just to tear it down. That fear fed another darker theory. What if Felicia was not there at all? What if the person Anna was pleading with was someone else entirely, someone dangerous? Pascal's name flickered through her thoughts like a warning sign. If Anna's perception was compromised, she might be exposing her vulnerabilities to an enemy, revealing plans and secrets without even realizing it. The idea was horrifying. It meant that her own mind had become a weapon against her. The castle had a way of amplifying that terror. Sounds echoed strangely, footsteps seeming closer than they were, shadows stretched and shifted in unnatural ways. Anna felt trapped not just by stone walls and locked doors, but by the growing realization that she might not be able to trust herself. That was perhaps the most effective part of Sidwell's strategy. He did not need to torture her physically if he could make her doubt reality itself. Yet even in that mental fog, Anna's instincts fought back. She focused on details. Felicia's voice cracked in familiar places. The scent of her perfume stirred memories of safer times. Emma's name carried warmth and stubborn hope. These were anchors, fragments of truth. Anna refused to surrender. She reminded herself that hallucinations often replay fears and regrets, not complicated rescue plans filled with logistical flaws. This felt clumsy and dangerous and human. Felicia spoke of timing, of needing to move quickly before guards doubled back. She warned Anna that even if they got out of the room, escape would not be clean. There would be confrontation. There would be risk. Anna appreciated that honesty more than any promise of an easy victory. It aligned with the reality she knew. Nothing worth surviving ever came without cost. As they prepared to move, Anna's body betrayed her. Weakness surged through her limbs, making it hard to stand. Felicia wrapped an arm around her, steadying her with surprising strength born from desperation. In that contact, Anna felt something solid and undeniable. A hallucination might speak and taunt, but this support felt grounded, heavy, real. It reignited her determination to fight. Outside the room, the castle hummed with renewed power. Lights glowed warmly against ancient stone, mocking the danger they represented. Somewhere, Sidwell was likely watching monitors, unaware or perhaps already suspicious. The tension was suffocating. Every step felt like a gamble. Anna's mind continued to split between hope and fear, between the belief that she was finally being rescued and the terror that this was the cruelest illusion yet. As they moved deeper into the castle corridors, Anna's thoughts spiraled back through everything that had led her here. The alliances that had gone wrong, the enemies who had never truly disappeared, the choices that had painted targets on her back. She wondered if this was the price of a life lived in shadows. She wondered if this moment would be the one where everything ended or the one where she clawed her way back. Felicia urged her onward, whispering reassurances even as her own fear was impossible to hide. That shared fear was strangely comforting. It meant they were facing something real together. Guards' voices drifted from somewhere nearby, sharp and alert. Anna's pulse roared in her ears. She tightened her grip on Felicia, silently promising that if this was real, she would not let her sacrifice be in vain. And yet the question refused to leave her mind. Was Felicia truly there? Or was Anna's mind conjuring the last person she trusted as a final comfort before breaking completely? The answer mattered more than anything. It would determine whether this was the beginning of freedom or the moment her enemies gained the upper hand in a way she might never recover from. The corridor narrowed as they moved forward, the stone walls pressing in, until Anna felt as if the castle itself was testing her resolve. Each step sent a dull ache through her legs, but Felicia did not let go. Her grip was firm and warm, grounding Anna in a way no hallucination ever had before. That physical certainty became Anna's anchor. Whatever doubts still whispered in her mind, her body recognized this presence as real, urgent, and alive. They paused at a corner where light spilled from an overhead fixture. Felicia leaned in close, her breath brushing Anna's ear as she whispered that guards had shifted positions after the power came back. The plan had changed. Mac and Emma were supposed to be waiting near a service stairwell that led toward the outer wing, a path less traveled but still dangerous. Anna nodded, forcing herself to focus. She could not afford to drift inward now. Survival demanded clarity. As they moved again, Anna caught sight of her reflection in a polished metal panel. The woman staring back looked older, hollowed out by fear and exhaustion. For a fleeting moment, she wondered if this broken version of herself was the real illusion. If the confident agent she once was had always been the fantasy. That thought threatened to pull her under, but Felicia's voice cut through it, sharp with urgency. They were not alone in these halls. Someone was coming. They ducked into an alcove just as two guards passed, their conversation casual, unaware of how close they were to disaster. Anna's heart pounded so loudly she was sure it would give them away. Felicia held up a hand, steadying them both until the footsteps faded. When Felicia met Anna's eyes, there was no doubt there, only fierce determination. In that look, Anna found her footing again. The stairwell came into view sooner than Anna expected. It spiraled downward, lit by emergency lighting that cast long shadows across the steps. At the bottom, Anna glimpsed movement. Emma's familiar silhouette appeared first, tense and alert, her youth sharpened by fear and resolve. Max stood beside her, his posture protective, his expression grim. The sight of them struck Anna with a rush of emotion so strong it nearly brought her to her knees. This was no illusion. Her mind could not have invented this precise constellation of faces and emotions, each reacting independently, each carrying their own fear. Mac moved quickly, supporting Anna on her other side. He whispered that they had only minutes, that Sidwell's people were already on edge after the blackouts. Emma pressed something warm into Anna's hand, a small flask of water, her eyes shining with tears she refused to let fall. Anna drank greedily, strength slowly returning. Gratitude flooded her chest, heavy and painful, but there was no time for it now. They began their descent, the echo of their footsteps swallowed by the stone. Anna's thoughts raced ahead, mapping every possible outcome. She knew escape would not be clean. Sidwell did not lose what he claimed without striking back. Even if they made it out of the castle, the consequences would ripple outward, endangering everyone involved. That knowledge settled in her like a weight, but it did not stop her. Freedom was worth the cost. Halfway down the stairwell, voices erupted above them. Shouts rang out, sharp with alarm. Someone had discovered her cell empty. The pace quickened. Emma stumbled, then caught herself, Mac's hand steadying her. The group moved as one, urgency overriding fear. Anna felt a strange clarity settle over her, the kind that came only in moments of extreme danger. Every sense sharpened, every decision felt instinctive and right. They burst into a lower corridor that smelled of damp stone and old metal. This wing of the castle felt forgotten, stripped of the grandeur Sidwell liked to display. A service door waited at the far end, slightly ajar. Felicia rushed ahead, checking the path before waving them forward. Anna's lungs burned as she pushed herself onward, fueled by adrenaline and stubborn will. Behind them, footsteps thundered closer. A guard shouted orders. The sound of boots striking stone sent a jolt of fear through Anna, but she did not look back. She focused on the door, on the promise of open air beyond it. Mac reached it first, pulling it wide. Cold air rushed in, sharp and clean, carrying the scent of snow. Freedom was only steps away. They spilled out into the night, the world suddenly vast after the confinement of stone walls. Snow crunched underfoot as they ran, breath steaming in the frigid air. The castle loomed behind them, lights blazing now, alive and furious. Anna's legs screamed in protest, but she kept moving, driven by the knowledge that stopping meant capture. A vehicle waited beyond a stand of trees, engine idling low. As they reached it, a gunshot cracked through the night, splintering the air. The sound sent a shock through Anna's chest. Emma cried out, ducking instinctively. Max shoved everyone toward the car, urgency etched into every line of his face. Another shot rang out, closer this time. They piled into the vehicle, Felicia taking the wheel, Tires spun briefly on ice before gripping, the car lurching forward just as figures burst from the castle entrance. More shots followed, but the distance grew quickly. The road curved away, trees swallowing the castle's silhouette until it vanished into darkness. Inside the car, silence fell, broken only by ragged breathing. Anna slumped back against the seat, exhaustion crashing over her now that the immediate danger had passed. Felicia reached back, squeezing her hand, tears finally spilling free. Mac let out a long breath, tension draining from his shoulders. Emma stared out the window, her face pale but resolute. As the miles passed, reality settled in. Anna was free. The truth of it felt fragile, almost unbelievable. She tested it by focusing on small details. The hum of the engine, the sting of cold air on her skin, the ache in her muscles, all of it was solid and undeniable. The hallucinations that had tormented her receded, their power broken by shared experience and undeniable proof. Yet relief was tempered by the knowledge that this was not the end. Sidwell would not forgive this humiliation. Cullum's network would respond. Anna understood that her escape marked the beginning of a new, dangerous chapter. But she also knew she was not alone. The people in this car had risked everything for her. That bond, forged in fear and loyalty, was unbreakable. When they finally reached a safe location, dawn was beginning to stain the horizon with pale lights. Anna stepped out of the car slowly, feeling the earth beneath her feet as if she were learning to walk again. Felicia wrapped her in a fierce embrace, sobbing openly now. Mac joined them, his grip steady and reassuring. Emma hovered close, her hands slipping into Anna's without hesitation. Inside, warmth and quiet wrapped around them. Anna sat, letting the heat seep into her bones, letting the reality of safety sink in. For the first time since her capture, she allowed herself to rest, but even as her body relaxed, her mind stayed alert. She knew there would be questions to answer, strategies to plan, threats to confront. Later, alone for a moment, Anna stared out a window at the rising sun. Light spilled across the snow, transforming it into something almost beautiful. She thought of the darkness she had left behind, of the illusions that had nearly broken her. She thought of Felicia's tears, of Emma's courage, of Mac's steadfast presence. These were her truths now, stronger than any nightmare. Anna drew a steady breath, feeling resolve harden within her. She had been hunted, imprisoned, and pushed to the edge of her sanity. And yet she had survived, not by strength alone, but by trust, loyalty, and the refusal to surrender to fear. Whatever Sidwell and his allies planned next, they would find that she was no longer isolated or uncertain. She turned from the window, ready to face what came next, carrying with her the unshakable knowledge that even in the deepest darkness, reality could still break through, and that sometimes the hand reaching for you was not an illusion at all, but the very thing that saved your life